Hey, just going to give you a tour of the garden, the tropical garden. It's August 27th, 2017. We'll just have a little look at things here. It's basically, if you've seen my tropical garden video from last year, it's a lot of the same plants. A couple new ones. Certainly different growing conditions than last year. Last year was hot and dry. This year has been very wet and cool. So I think the wet temperature certainly helps the tropical garden, but a lack of heat has hurt a couple things as well too. So I'll show you some of the highlights. My plumeria, it's grown in a pot under that mulch there, so I take that inside each winter. This is probably 7 years old. I've taken some cuttings out. You can see right at the Y there, it was a single stem that was probably 4 feet tall. So I took 3 other sections out of it and planted those as well, and they all took. This is the original one. It's probably 7 years old. It's small. It hasn't flowered yet, so I'm not giving it what it wants, but it's still an attractive looking plant. I've got some colocaceas, common green colocasia, very big leaf as always. It does well. The blue Hawaii beside it. It was bigger last year. It's definitely smaller this year. And mojito colocasia as well too, with that cool color pattern on the leaf. I've got some pineapple lilies here. These are just common ones. I think one's a bicolor and the other one's maybe just a common one, but they do have an attractive looking flower stalk. It looks a bit like a pineapple, except for it smells bad, so I've been cutting those out. We sit here on the deck each evening for a drink, but the smell's a bit much, so we cut the flower stalks out and just left the leaves. Trying a new one here, Leia. It's got a purple flower stalk. It didn't flower this year. I've got 2, but I think it's just building up some strength and should be good to go next year. Lots of caladiums around here. Bought a variety pack of 10 and they all turned out to be the same one. Yeah. What else we got? Here's some cannas. We got Petoria. The one in the front here, my favorite's the Bird of Paradise. It's got this greenish blue leaf color, very long, slender leaves with a purple edging to it. Hasn't flowered yet, but it has tall spikes of small pink flowers on top. Another Petoria canna here. Bananas. So this is blood banana, I believe. It's got several different stems now. It's getting a little bit bigger. As you saw the video from last year, it was definitely smaller, so it's doing really well and survives those winter's dormancy periods in my basement. No problem. I did show the cabbage palm seed last year. We planted it last year after bringing some seed back from northern Florida. It's alive and well. It's in a pot. I bring it in for the winter, but it's obviously tiny at 2 years old. It's just got 2 or 3 leaves. I've got my Incente banana. It's doing well this year. It might be a little bit smaller than last year actually, so it might have suffered from the lack of heat, or it's just having a tough time with those long dormant periods in the winter. Anyways, it still looks really good this year. It's big, fat, healthy leaves, no wind damage. It looks great in the corner of the garden here. The common red canna, Robert Kemp. Some ginger down here. It got a little bit lost in amongst the bigger plants here, so I might have to put that up front next year. Common rouge canna. So unlike the Bird of Paradise in front with the long skinny leaves, this one has rounder, fatter leaves and doesn't have the bluish tinge in the leaf as well. It's just red and green. Crimson Beauty, nice flowers on them. The leaves kind of plain. My Baju bananas, certainly the little pup from last year is growing into a banana in its own right here, so lots of other little pups coming up around as well, but now that I've got the 2, next year, I think after the winter, I'll bring them both inside this winter, but next year I'll separate them in the spring, leave one in the garden, try to overwinter it, and keep the other one in the basement as insurance for the winter. They are fairly hardy, but this is pushing it in zone 5. Yeah, I'll just show a couple other plantings I have around. There's some common green colocaceas at the back of the deck here. And I've got a couple fig trees behind this deck as well. Desert King fig, it's a green fig. Just planted this year, it's probably about 5 feet tall now. It's got 1 fig on it. I'm not sure if that'll ripen in time. They're supposed to get fairly big, and I'm gonna run out of season for that guy. And a Chicago Hardy fig back here. So it's 3 years old now. I dig a trench for it every year in this garden bed, tip it over and bury it. And it's got lots and lots of figs. It's loaded in figs, but they're still fairly small. They do turn purple, and I'm just not sure we're going to have enough season this year, enough heat to ripen those out. Anyways, that's a look at the garden. We did have 1 frog move into the pond this year. We've got a whole bunch of tadpoles in there, but yeah, cooler summer, but tropical garden's still doing fine.